The Sandy and Toddcast is a Mindgarden Media podcast in association with
Screw You, Todd
Productions. It feels like we've had a lot of time off. It feels like we haven't had a lot of time off. But now we're back and we're going into season 5.
There should be some sort of sound effect there. Shouldn't there be? Like season 5, your usual
Season 5.
There we go. Thank you. Yeah, season 5. A lot of time off, but not a lot of time off. We've been busy in the meantime.
Absolutely, and this episode is to get you all caught up on what we've got going. We're going to catch each other up on stuff as well. Stick around. It's the Sandy and Toddcast, Season 5, Episode 1. We're just going to call it Season 5.
We make podcasting easy. Mindgarden Media can get you going on your very own podcast. With many years in the broadcast and audio industry, Mindgarden Media can edit, fully produce, and provide all the web distribution services. We're podcasters too, so we'll guide you every step of the way to a professional-sounding podcast production. For information, email the mindgardenmedia@gmail.com. The mindgardenmedia@gmail.com. Or check us out on Facebook.
Broadcasting from two very different yet magical places not found on any map. Get ready to discuss the strange, weird, ghostly, crazy, spooky, and odd things that take place around us each and every day. All while having a little bit of fun. This is the Sandy and Toddcast.
Back after some time off. We're like that little girl in front of the TV with her hands on the TV saying, they're back.
Yep. That was one of the most ingenious episode labelings I've ever heard.
Oh my gosh, totally. I don't know who is that little girl. Carol Ann.
Season 1, we did the whole episode on those movies.
So we're back, and we've both been busy doing our own stuff.
I know.
You've been busy with work and some other stuff. I've been busy with work and some other stuff. And so we haven't necessarily been caught up on each other's lives. And certainly we want to catch everybody, all the listeners, up on what's going on, too. To a certain extent, and then,
We figured we'd catch everybody up on what we've been up to, kick off the season, and then we have some cool ideas for season 5 coming down the pike, and maybe some live casts here and there sprinkled in. And so, we haven't, and on purpose, just because we've been so busy with things, we sort of kind of just checked in with each other every day, but haven't had the long drawn out conversations that we have previously had, since we met. But it's okay because it's a good thing, because you have been completely swamped to the point where I just am letting you do your thing. Lots going on with you. And then I've been really busy too, but I've been doing other things busily. Does that make sense? Busily? I don't know.
What is that? I've never heard that word before in my life. Busily?
Busily doing things.
Oh, busily. I thought you said visily, like vision or something.
No,
okay.
Busily doing things. So, all right. So, who wants to go first?
You can go first. I'll just sit back and listen and take some notes, and then I'll jump in when the time comes.
All right. So many crazy things going on with me. So camp is open, which I'm excited about. And I shared some pictures. I'll have to share some pictures on our Facebook page and in our group of our camp this year, because you were asking me about it yesterday. Every year we've had the same campsite. It's a seasonal campsite. Beautiful. We've had it for, I think, 9 or 10 years now. And each year it started out completely bare bones. Each year we've added to it and really worked on it and got it to look like an actual camp, And so this year it's finally at a place where I just am so incredibly happy with it. It's like our second home. And we have a I can't remember if it's 32 or 34 foot camper that we've had. This one we've had for about 5 years now. The one each year, this is our third one, but each year it's gotten successively. Each time it's gotten bigger. We started out with this little 16-foot camper. And the first couple of years that we had a camper, this is what we used, and we would travel all over with it, which was fine, but it was very, very tiny. It had really nice amenities, but it was small. So then we went up to, I think it was a 23 or 24 footer. Love that one. Weren't expecting to get this one, except we decided to take a ride out to Syracuse in 2017 just to look at some. There was a sale, and I immediately fell in love with this one because it has an outdoor kitchen. It has a bunk room in the back. It's got bunk beds and a couch that pulls out. It sleeps 11, 12 people, Todd. And so it's finally at a place where I'm just totally in love with our camp. And we spend as much time as we can there in the summer. So that's been going on, getting that ready, opening that up, having everything situated. Last weekend, we went and got some beautiful flowers. Every year we go to the same place because we love their flowers. And that's been going on. My garden, Todd, that you make fun of me about.
And I continue to make fun of you because I've seen the garden.
Yeah. Now, first of all, in my own defense, I've never made a garden before in my life.
It shows. It completely shows.
It shows. But the funniest thing is things are growing. Things are actually growing. Now, I love zucchini. So I planted zucchini and I planted lettuce, butter lettuce, and spinach, and carrots. They're all freaking growing. Okay. The zucchini, it's growing it's growing. You can see it. You go out in the morning and it's one height, and then you go in the afternoon and it's taller, and it's amazing. And I'm so excited because literally what I did was I dug up the ground and I threw a bunch of seeds in together, not knowing what I was doing, and I covered them up, and Dave waters them. And now I have all of these great things growing. And I put watermelons in the other day.
My mom and dad were known for their epic gardens. They were huge. The rows were very straight. Nobody was allowed in the garden until picking time, except for Dad, who would take the rototiller through and make sure that everything was shipshape. This is not that kind of garden.
This is far from that kind of garden. I send you pictures all the time. I'm like, look, it's growing. I'm just excited that something's growing. And for the most part, it's for the animals. But I'm just hoping that at least it gets a chance to continue growing for a while before the animals completely take it. We don't have deer in our backyard or anything like that. It's literally just squirrels and chipmunks and bunnies. And it was mostly for them. But I want the zucchinis. That's what I really want. So I just want to see everything growing. Although if the lettuce grows high enough and the way it should, I'm certainly going to take some of the lettuce.
I think with it being the way it is, this is just my prediction now, but I think that the lettuce will be eaten before it's ever big enough for you. And I think the zucchini will be eaten before it ever even flowers, because even once the flowers come, they will eat the flowers. So
I don't know. I'm waiting to see.
No,
but
I know. I can tell you because I've gardened for a number of years in my life, and you should see this garden. You should see that. It looks like what had maybe been a mud puddle at one point, and then just these little sprouts of green coming up. It could be anything growing there. We have to take for granted. We have to take trust in her that it is what she says it is, because it could just be weeds. We don't know at this point.
Listen, I have this app called Seek. And I actually, just to double check and make sure, I actually took pictures with the app and compared it, and everything turned out right. So I know what it is. I know it.
There's a couple carrots here. There's a zucchini next to that with a zucchini.
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Now, next year, if I do it again next year, obviously, I'll be a lot more careful. This year, I just kind of threw it out there and whatever. Next year, I'll be more careful and I'll be more calculated with it. But literally, it's like carrots with spinach. And then the zucchini is getting really big. The zucchini,
the vines.
like the vines. is getting really big, but it's
Wait a minute.
sort of like.
Did anybody
next to
catch the fact that she said zucchini stalks? Did anybody catch that?
I don't know what they're called. But I've heard that the flowers are really good to eat.
You can eat them. I don't like them. I know that people do take them and they stuff them with cream cheese and then bread them and deep fry them. Yes, I've seen that done before. But
that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know anything about that because I just like the regular.
I can tell by looking at your garden. I mean, I can tell you don't know anything about that.
Listen, don't ruin my excitement. You've been making fun of me since I told you about it like in January.
It's like a child who's making mud patties out in the yard and they're like, why don't you come and have a lunch with me and we'll make some blah, blah, blah. And then they're out there patting mud. And,
well, you know what?
It's your first garden by Kenner is what it is.
My first garden. I probably do better with plastic, zucchinis. But so that's exciting for me and I'm having a ball with that. Now my flowers, my other idea was to get flowers that would attract bumblebees because I wanted to help the bumblebees. So I got 4 different plants. 2 of which, one is completely dead.
Yeah.
I got a lavender plant, which I read that it sometimes can take up to 2 years for the juveniles to actually start to flower. That's what I read.
If you're lucky, if they stick around. Now, what zone are you in? What zone are you in? 4? I would say probably 4 because you're about where I am on the map. Really, if you draw us across, we're about the same. I'm going to say you're zone 4. They may not come back every year.
Oh, well, that's okay. Because they're pretty as they are. I like them. And they're not dying. Like, it's staying alive, which I'm excited about. Because I obviously, as everybody can probably guess by now, I don't have the greenest thumb. But...
I wish you got to put pictures up of your garden.
I will. I'm going to put pictures up so everybody can see.
Make sure to wear your glasses or get out the binoculars or the magnifying glass when you look at it so you can look at all the little leaves.
I'm so excited about the carrots are tiny. It's so hilarious. But again, I don't know how it works. So I don't know if because the zucchini just started to come up right away. And the rest of it was a little bit slower, but the lettuce is doing well. But the zucchini is So I've just been really excited about that. So that's happening. And so then they're called creeping phlox, Phlox.
Yep.
Beautiful yellow flowers. They are sticking around. They're doing well.
Yellow?
Yeah, they're yellow.
I don't know if I've ever seen a yellow phlox. They're usually white, pink, or purple or something like that. Blue.
These are yellow. Yep.
Okay. I could be wrong, but
I think that's the one. I think that's the phlox. I don't know. But they're really pretty yellow flowers. Anyways, they're still alive. She's like the Martha Stewart of gardening, isn't she? She is the female P. Allen Smith on PBS. So this is a funny story. This is a Spike story. I told Dave this year, because we're really trying to clear the backyard and do some stuff, because we have a wooded area in the back of our house. So we're trying to clear things out, still keep it kind of wild because I love that look in the back part. But we cleaned out all the sticks. We had spring cleaning done and everything. So I said to Dave, I love hostas. And I said, I want to put some hostas around the garage, the side and the back. So we went and we bought 12 hosta plants and we put them all up around, around the garage. And they're so hardy and they're so beautiful. We have 3 of them at camp. They're gorgeous. And they'll come back every year. And Spike has decided that there's this one hosta that he wants to pee on every single time he goes out. So we have corrected him as he's going towards it because we take him out on the leash. And we've corrected him and everything. But, a dog who wants to pee on something is going to pee on something. So Dave got this brilliant idea. This is so funny. He took one of our Halloween props, which is a little fence that lights up, like a black fence that goes around the tombstones and stuff. And he put it in front of the hosta that Spike always likes to go to the bathroom to pee on. And so what do I do with him yesterday? I take him out there and he pees on the fence instead of the hosta.
Well, at least it's the fence, though, right? Because the fence can't die.
Well, I said that to Dave, and Dave goes, oh no, because he's going to ruin the electrical because it's got lights on it. I said, well, why did you put that up there then? So
everybody in your mind right now, just imagine what it's like living next door to Sandy and Dave, just for a moment. And they're having these conversations out on the lawn. Why did you do that? Well, I thought it would stop him, but now it's going to get the electrical. I mean, can you imagine that?
It was so funny, though. It was so funny.
And looking over in the yard and seeing Sandy bent over, looking at what looks like just little weeds growing up from the ground.
Screw you, Todd. Screw you. Because they're coming up, and I'm happy about it. So don't ruin my happiness.
But that's what I do for a living. I ruin people's happiness.
Whatever. So, I've been up to doing that a lot. We've been doing a lot, cleaning up things, not that our backyard was horrible, but doing a lot of stuff that we kind of neglected the sticks because we have trees behind us and sticks would fall off and stuff. So we had that all cleaned out this year. So it looks beautiful. Planted some extra grass, took out the firewood that we have for camp. We actually moved that up to camp. All that kind of normal spring cleaning stuff. So the yard looks beautiful. My garden's coming up. I'm just really excited about it. And so that's been a lot of my time. Other than my busy work schedule, a lot of my time has been spent trying to do that kind of stuff and taking care of things. And now, Todd, we're in the home stretch. 1.5 weeks.
How do you see one? Well, it's not really 1.5. I suppose once this comes out, it's 1.5.
Yeah, well, it's Friday, so it's only 2 days away. So it's 1.5 weeks until vacation. And I'm already starting to run through things in my mind and figure things out.
Great. This should be a lot of fun. I'm just so excited about this because
you are.
Anybody who knows me knows that I love going on vacation, taking time off, and having every minute of my day planned.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. It's not so much the timing of everything.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Because we basically know what we're doing. It's
at 7:05, Todd will take a piss. At 7:06, he'll wash his hands. At 7:07, yeah.
No, I'm just trying, it's so funny. Okay, so we leave on Wednesday, the 15th. Our plane leaves Syracuse at 6:31 p.m. Originally, it was at 11:30 in the morning, but of course, they changed it on us. So we leave at 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday. Get into Chicago at 7:40 your time.
Yep.
And the beauty of this whole thing is that we literally take off an hour later. So we don't have to wander around the airport looking for something to do. We can literally go from our gate to gate. And by then we should be boarding. And then it's a 50-minute flight to Appleton. So we get into Appleton at 9:45. The big issue is the rental car company going to be open at 9:45? But I guess they stay open till 11. So that's good. So if Appleton is anything like Syracuse's airport, there's a lot of places to get alcohol, but there's not a lot of decent places to eat.
Oh no, you'll be right near all the major places to eat. You'll be right down the highway from it.
No, I mean in the airport.
In the airport, there's nothing.
Yeah, that's the problem. So it's not like a big airport where you have tons of options, different things.
You won't even need that. You'll literally get off the plane. The few bags that are on the plane will come around the little thing. You'll grab it. You'll walk out. You'll get your car. You'll drive about 2 miles down the road, and there'll be every restaurant you could possibly have.
Well, our issue was, we have to eat dinner before we get to the airport so it's about a 50-minute drive to the airport from our house, which is nothing. We fly out of Syracuse every year for something, going somewhere, sometimes twice. But it's we can't eat at the airport because there's nothing there. So we were trying to figure out where we wanted to go to eat beforehand. So that's the big planning we're doing right now. We're just trying to figure that stuff out. And I know, don't shake your head at me. So, but our vacation together is pretty much, we already know what we're doing. It's not like we have to plan much.
Thursday's laid back, maybe dinner Thursday night with friends. Friday, we're going to Door County and Washington Island, right?
Yep. Until Sunday.
Right, but then we're not staying on Washington Island overnight. We're coming off there. The only thing we have to worry about there is that we get off the island by the last ferry back.
I was looking at that. So we just got to be mindful of our time. But other than that, there's nothing.
We're going to stay in Door County that night, and then the next day we'll probably check out the lighthouse.
Yep.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, and we can do I know you can't walk a lot right now, but we can sit and
reminisce. I hope there's time for us to maybe stop at a bar and have a couple of drinks up there.
Well, that's what I was hoping. I'm glad you said that because I really want to just kind of do our own version of a pub crawl and just check out a bunch of different places.
Well, there's also wineries and all that kind of stuff up there. So, I mean, there's plenty of stuff to do.
So it'll be a fun few days, that's for sure. I was really excited when I saw that Drew and Carissa went a few weeks ago.
Yep.
And by the way, congratulations to Drew and Carissa for their baby boy, Jonah, who is absolutely adorable.
So I want everybody to do this at some point while listening to this. I want you to go on the internet. I want you to go to Google, and I want you to Google the name Jack Soo. JACKSOO. And a picture of a man of Asian descent will show up. He was an actor from the 60s and 70s, and he was probably best known for being on Barney Miller back in the 70s.
I remember him.
They sent me a picture of the baby.
Where you were going with that.
So I was taking the dog for a walk and I got a picture of the baby. Now, listen, I'm not mean, but all babies kind of look the same way when they come out.
Yes.
And they look like Jack Soo. And so what I did was I'm walking along and I immediately pull up this picture that I always pull up from the opening credits of Barney Miller that says his name, Jack Soo. He's holding a coffee pot. It's funny. And I sent that to Drew. I didn't even say anything in response. I got the picture from him in Snapchat. I sent him the Jack Soo picture. And that was it.
God.
That's all. And he said, you know what? That's not far off. He knew I was right. So
I couldn't stop laughing. Drew has such a way with words. Let's see. I have to look this up because it was great the way he said it. Oh, this was wonderful. Drew says, this lady, meaning Carissa, was made to be a mom. From taking in 2 kiddos to busting out a baby. Busting out a baby.
And
She's doing great.
He's already got a nickname for the kid. I think they call him J-Chunk or something like that. Yeah, it's something like that.
J-Chubs.
J-Chubs.
They are going to be they're already such amazing parents, but with a baby in the house, it's going to be wonderful. Do you think they'll be able to make it out for dinner, maybe?
I don't know. You try and, finagle that. I know.
I'll message Drew later.
The other thing we could do is we could always go to Fond du Lac that night for dinner, and then it'd be closer to their place. Or we could just stop on by and not even tell them. Just show up at the door and ring the doorbell.
Oh my God, Todd, would that be hilarious? We could bring obnoxious gifts and just show up unannounced. Look, I know the wheels are turning.
Maybe I'd like to get a cardboard cutout of Jack Soo and just leave it on their front lawn.
That is the funniest thing ever. Oh my gosh. So week and a half, and we'll be. The only thing that I'm not looking forward to is the flight back, not just because I'll miss you, but because we have to leave at 6:30 in the morning.
Here's
That's
the thing.
A little tough. I've done those before. It's not fun.
No, but here's the thing. You got to do it. You don't have a choice. So the best thing you can do is not worry about it. Enjoy everything else. And then when the time comes to do it, you put your head down, you get it done.
Yep.
And you say, fuck it.
Yeah, that's what happened to us in, I want to say it was 2007, 2008, one of the times we were in Florida, and there was the big Valentine's Day snowstorm. It was February, and we literally got 4 feet of snow. So it was really rough, but we were snowed in down in Florida. We couldn't, there was nothing you could do to get back up home if you wanted to fly. So we were there an extra, I think 3 days. But, and the funny thing was the airline said to us, well, we could get you to Buffalo, but you'd have to fly into like Dallas, Fort Worth first. And then now we are 4 hours east of Buffalo. So not only did they want us to fly to Texas and then take the chance of still being stuck in Texas, but then they wanted to get us to Buffalo, and then we'd have to figure out a way, rent a car to drive 4 hours home. It was just absolutely ridiculous. So we said, nope. Well, we ate at TGI Fridays because we had no rental car. We'd already dropped our rental car off. There was a TGI Fridays in the parking lot of the hotel we were staying at, and we just ate there for lunch and dinner for like 3 days straight and laid by the pool and had a great time. So, but I think that was the trip where the flight that we were able to get was at like 5:45 in the morning. So we got up at like 2. But you do what you got to do. So, it's not, it got changed. It was originally supposed to be at like 11:30 in the morning coming home, and it got changed, but whatever. I smartly said, well, let's spend the last night in Appleton. So Sunday after, if we have dinner Sunday or something, after we leave Sunday, we're going to go to Appleton and spend the night. It's 5 minutes from the airport.
Right.
So that will make a lot of difference for us with that. So, but anyway, so that's that. So I am really looking forward to that because you know what? I need a vacation.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I need one. So why not, combine it with Senior BFF and going someplace I've always wanted to go. Well, at least since I knew it existed 2.5 years ago, Washington Island. Mm-hmm. And Door County sounds amazing. And so I'm ready to go. I'm excited.
Good.
So, yeah.
So when this comes out, it'll be nearly 6 months from my operation for my knee.
Yeah. Yep.
And so I'm basically at a point right now where it is what it is. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that I can actually improve at this point is muscle mass for my leg, which, working on that, whatever.
Can you see a noticeable difference in your legs? Like, can you see? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got, my one leg is actually kind of nice. I've got nice muscle tone. Right. The other one, the calf is starting to actually get better because I bounce my legs while I work. Yeah. And that actually helps your calf muscles.
Yep.
But my I don't have much of a quad in that leg at this point. So still working on that. The knee itself is what it is. I've tried various different braces and compression sleeves, and I've got one that I kind of like right now. But the truth of the matter is that at some point I've just walked too much or I've moved too much or whatever, and it's as stiff as a board after that. So, that usually means a little ice. That usually means a little pain med or whatever.
Right.
And that's pretty much what my life will probably be like. I mean, that probably will not get much better at this point. Yeah. So like, for instance, one of the things I'm thinking about, you're worrying about waking up early. I'm worried about how I can keep something ice cold while we're traveling so I can pull it out and put it on my knee as needed. But I'm not, it's fine. I can walk, I can get around.
Well, yeah.
And I'm lucky that I guess I have a leg. So the only other thing that I really want to talk about, and this could also be an empathicary podcast, but and then this is not a political thing. If you make it political, if you hear this and you make it political, that's on you. It is not on me. It's not on anyone else. It's on you. And that is after the tragedies of the last 2 weeks in this country, of all the gun shootings, and especially the one at the school with the children, enough is enough. It's time for sensible gun laws. It's time to bring in background checks. It's time to bring in a waiting period. If you remember properly, President Reagan was shot, an assassination attempt. In fact, that guy, Hinckley Jr., is getting out of prison unconditionally here very soon.
Yeah.
So he's been in for all these years. He shot the president. He hit him, did not kill him. He also shot Brady, the guy that was with, and messed him up bad.
Right.
And because of that, there became something that the Republican Party brought up and pushed through, and it was bipartisan, called the Brady Bill, which meant you had to wait a certain number of days before you could purchase a gun.
Right.
There was a waiting period. Background checks. Should you have a gun? Do you have the knowledge to operate a gun? Okay, all this kind of stuff.
Right.
At any rate, that went away years ago.
Yep.
And now this is a problem. And I'm just going to say it straight out. If you think the only answer is to arm people and put them in our schools, you have an issue.
Yep.
Because the real thing here is, and I don't want to take guns away from anybody, there's certain guns we don't need to have. Okay, we don't need to be running around with some of the weapons for war and stuff like that. But if we can't put people on a waiting period to buy a deadly weapon, if we can't know whether or not this person is mentally stable enough to have this, then, yeah, you know what? Then we should get rid of all of them.
Right. Right.
19 children are gone. We just had another shooting, and a couple of people in a church parking lot were shot. We had a grocery store in New York State that was shot out, and 10 people died there because they were black, primarily.
Yep.
Enough.
I'm going to throw out a statistic that I just read. In 2022 alone, I know this isn't paranormal, but this is a very serious issue. This is a very serious issue.
This is empath, though. How did this make you feel over the last couple of weeks? Because I felt like shit.
I've been a mess. In 2022 alone. Now, don't forget, this is June. What is today? June 3rd? 3rd? Yeah.
Yep.
It's June 3rd. In 2022, now the government defines a mass shooting as the killing of 4 or more people, okay? In 2022 alone, June 4th, there have been 233 mass shootings in the United States of America. 233, and we're not even done with June. We've just started June. That, to me, is appalling. That's horrific. Absolutely horrific. And I will be the first person to tell you that I am a Democrat. I stand by that. I proudly stand by that. But I am also a gun owner. I own a long rifle, and I own a handgun.
Jesus Christ, think about that while you can for a second.
I know, right?
Look at her garden and then say whether or not she should have a handgun.
But I do not believe that we should be taking everyone's guns away, okay? However, okay, so here I am, a Democrat, saying, yes, people have the right to have guns, and I truly believe that. Most
Democrats do believe that, though. That's what you have to understand. Nobody wants to take guns away. Yeah.
That's the fallacy out there, because a few people who obviously want to stir up trouble are getting other people in their little pocket and telling people that Democrats want to take away guns. That's not the issue. The issue is not taking everyone's guns away. The issue is how to save lives and make it more difficult for people to get them. 18-year-olds, 21-year-olds, I'm sorry, do not need AR-15s. Unless you're in the military or you work for a government organization, you do not need an assault rifle. End of story. Now, let me take that a step further, because guns are not the only issue. In case anybody's hiding in the closet or has a hood pulled over their head and their ears plugged up and their eyes covered, there is a huge mental health issue in this country, an absolutely huge mental health issue. And when you have children killing, murdering children in the United States, it's not just the guns. It's not just the guns. It's a mental health issue. It's a gun issue. We have to be bipartisan on it. We have to work together on it, because how the fuck is it working for us all so far?
Well, it's not. And here's the thing. Let's do this. You try and buy a gun right now, and I'm going to try and make an appointment to get a mental health evaluation. I can guarantee in this country today, it's easier to buy a gun than it is to get mental health help through our health care providing.
100%.
Okay.
100%.
So saying that, I will just also say this. You have to have more background checks to buy a house, buy a car, get a job at fucking McDonald's than you do to get a gun that could potentially take a life. You have to have more background checks to fry French fries at McDonald's. And I'm not putting that job down. It's a very important job. And anybody working in the service industry, I support you and have a ton of respect for you. And I think you are very, very underpaid. But you have more background checks to get a job frying fries at McDonald's than you do to buy something that could potentially take life in this country. And here's the other thing. I work outside this country. Outside this country, people look at us and say, what the fuck is wrong with you people? When there have been mass shootings in other countries, you know what they did in those countries? They went even beyond having background checks, went beyond having waiting periods. They took the fucking guns away. Australia, UK, that stuff happened. Guess what? Doesn't happen anymore.
Right.
I don't want guns taken away. My family owned guns. It's not what I'm about. I'm all about hunting. That's great. Whatever. You want to shoot for sport? You want to clay? That's fine. But you cannot get behind the wheel of a car unless you are qualified to do so. Taking the proper instruction, the proper tests, the proper evaluation down the line, having the license, all that. If you don't pay your fucking license plate fee every year, you're in deep shit. But you can walk in right now and buy a gun.
Let me tell you how I went about. Now, my long rifle, which is something that's always kind of confused me. I walked into...
Which is something you want. That's exactly what you want a gun owner to say about their gun.
This is interesting. I walked into a sporting goods store, picked out the long rifle I wanted. I gave them my driver's license. I filled out a form, and 45 minutes later, I walked out of the sporting goods store with a rifle. Now, when I went to get my handgun, it took just about a year for the process from beginning to end, because in New York State, it is much more... there is much more involved in New York State than there is in some of the other states. In New York State, you have to take your class. Then you have to fill out your form. You have to get your fingerprints taken. You have to get references. You have to send everything in. Then it takes 3 to 4 months for your background check and all that good stuff. Then you have to go down. This is great. Then you have to go down to the licensing office, get your okay that you're going to get your license, but you don't get your license yet. Then you go and you buy your gun, or you buy your gun. You don't get your gun yet. Then you have to go back to the licensing office with your gun serial number and all of that kind of stuff. And you have to give them that, and they have to make your card, and they have to okay you. You talk to whoever not the judge, but you talk to the sheriff in charge or whatever. And then you can go get your gun. So the whole process for me took about a year, because you have to wait for things.
That seems a little long to me. I mean, to me, I think that's ridiculous, but there should be a way to do it quicker, but still as effectively, you know?
Right. And I agree. I just don't see why there's such a discrepancy between a rifle and a handgun that I was in and out in 45 minutes. And it took me, I think it was about 10, 11 months, because you have to wait because it takes a while to get your appointment for your fingerprints and all that kind of stuff. But my point, though, is that there have been mass shootings with guns other than assault rifles, which tells me that, no, we still shouldn't be taking guns away. However, somewhere in there is something that's going to help us make make this at least somewhat better. Because what we're doing now obviously isn't working. And I think it's important to point out, too, that, yes, while mistakes were made in Texas by law enforcement, and we all know this now, we shouldn't be waiting until we're in an actual situation like this to worry about mistakes that were made. Because I'll tell you right now, mistakes have been made way before the shooting happened.
Well, that, and the other thing, too, is then, you know, people say arm the teachers. These men and women already have enough on their hands.
They don't want to carry guns.
And some of them may. I don't want to speak for them, but I will say this.
Speaking, they have enough to worry about.
I have friends who are teachers, and they deal with kids who are hitting them and pushing them, and nothing can be done about it because we live in a society now where the kids can do whatever the fuck they want because parents aren't parenting anymore, and parents aren't allowed to parent anymore because, I'm sorry, guess what? In my family, you acted up, you got your ass popped. Dad came in, popped your ass a couple of times. You didn't forget that. Mom popped your ass a couple of times. You didn't forget that. Now you can't do any of that. And if a teacher gets hit or pushed, the first thing that is questioned is the teacher. What did you do? Well, why did they do that? And that's it. There's no responsibility for the parents. There's no responsibility for the kids.
No.
So, we need better parents in this country, too. We need parents who are parents and not friends. We need better gun laws. We need better access to health care in this country, mental or physical, it doesn't matter. And we just don't have it. And we have a lot of people out there worrying about whether or not they can have a gun because it's in the Constitution.
Well, I absolutely love my country. I am proud of my country. I am happy to be in my country, but we have a lot of work to do. On many levels. I
will just say that I feel lucky to live here, but in the same respect, I'm not going to say that I'm proud of my country because I think the way things are, the partisanship between the elected officials and the bullshit that goes on with medical and all. What are we doing?
You're right.
What are we doing?
Right. You're right.
We had a movie over the weekend that made $151 million at the box office. We as Americans spent $151 million to go see a movie. But we're not going to give that money up to help somebody. We're not going to raise $151 million to help anyone. The only time this country comes together is when there's adversity to us from outside the country.
You make good points.
When the Twin Towers go down. When Pearl Harbor is happen, when it comes from the outside, we will act like, we need to act. When it happens from within the country, it's every man for himself.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
And
we are so divided, and we are just so, we have to come together, at least on this issue, on so many more, but we have to come together on this issue because that child or that teacher or that person in a grocery store could be your son, your daughter.
But until it affects brother, Americans, they don't give a shit.
No.
They don't care. They care about themselves. How does it affect them? Oh, I can't have this particular gun because it's too much. Now I'm pissed off. Doesn't mean, hey, taking this off may help these other people. No, it doesn't matter about that. And I'll just say, I'll say one more thing on the topic, which now I've lost in my brain someplace. I was gonna say something very profound.
Oh, see, the most profound thing ever, and now it's gone.
We're not very good neighbors in this country.
No.
We don't care about one another.
Generally speaking, of course, but it's true.
Yeah, we don't. One of the things that I posted was a meme or a picture or whatever of a kid under the desk wearing a mask. And there's a shooter in the background. And there's another kid under the desk. And he says, and our parents think that we're going to be traumatized by wearing masks. And somebody reached out to me and said, well, I don't understand what one has to do with the other. Of course you don't, because you don't want to see how one has to do with the other. We will scream and shout over a plastic cloth over our face. And I don't care how you feel about masks. You can like them or not. I'm not a big fan of wearing one, but when I go to the medical centers, of course, you have to wear them, whatever. But I was willing to do it for other people, even though it was uncomfortable for me.
Right.
But if you can't see how the ridiculousness of one feeds into the other, you're the one. You're exactly who that message is for. That's the problem. Like the message is for you and you just can't see it. So
don't want to. You know, when I was a kid, our drills in school were go home drills. We literally would get on the bus early and go home. That was what we called them, go home drills, because we didn't have to live in the Cold War. It was the 70s. We didn't really have to live in a Cold War atmosphere at that time. It wasn't like it was, you know, when there were bomb threats and things, when they had, what do they call them? The bomb cellars? What were they?
Yeah, the fallout shelters and stuff.
Fallout shelters and stuff. But, you know, we didn't have to be afraid like these poor children have to be afraid.
The scariest thing in school when I went, besides the pizza on Thursdays in the cafeteria, was the fact that your school could get hit by a tornado and you prepared for that. And that was scary enough. And while we didn't have like bombing drills and stuff like that, there was still a lot of talk in the 80s on TV and in the news about the Russian-American, relationship and all that kind of stuff. And now we've got, Russia being an asshole doing what it's doing to Ukraine and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. That's what we dealt with.
We didn't have it. I mean, my heart goes out to these children. You know, when you hear of 11-year-olds committing suicide.
Ugh, please.
I don't understand why this is happening.
What we should do is ask every parent of a child who has been taken in a school shooting from Sandy Hook all the way through today and even beyond Sandy Hook, and just ask them if realistic gun regulations for background checks and for mental capacity and all that kind of waiting period, if they're for or against that, if they're for some sort of realistic gun regulation or just the freedom to own a gun for everybody, I would almost bet that 100% of them would say some kind of regulation would be nice.
Yeah. And just to wrap up this conversation, I'm going to reiterate this. So far, June 4th, this year alone, 233 mass shootings in the United States.
And unless one of those mass shootings, has something to do with you, you don't care.
It's just a shame.
Yeah. Thoughts and prayers for those folks.
Thoughts and prayers. Well, you know what? It's time that we all take responsibility for this because it's all of our responsibility.
I know that really brilliant thing I was going to talk about just briefly. And it's before I get down off my soapbox. So recently there's been a lot of videos of leaders of churches and stuff like that preaching about how if you're Democrat, you shouldn't be in this church. But have you seen some of that stuff coming out?
No, I haven't seen any of that.
So there's pastors going, if you're a Democrat, you can't be here. You should not be in front of God and all that kind of stuff. And somebody came up with a great thought. And that was, the minute you start teaching politics in the church, tax the fucking church.
Yep.
Period.
Yep. That's right.
You know what? There'd be a lot of money raised for a lot of good stuff in this country if the fucking churches would pay their part.
Don't get me down that road.
There's plenty of woo-woo groups. I went to a great healing group over our break. That was almost, I don't want to call it church-like, but it was a very spiritual thing. They have to pay taxes.
Mm-hmm.
They have to pay taxes.
Yep.
So why shouldn't the congregation down the street or the one up the street?
That's right. 100% correct.
That's all I'm going to say.
So anyways, so that's our thought on that.
Season 5. More anger than ever before.
I promise you guys, there won't be that kind of anger the rest of the season. 15 more episodes of the season. But we are going to do some fun stuff. on vacation, so we'll be sharing that with everybody, which shouldn't be that angry, I'm hoping.
When you do the show notes, okay, think about these show notes. Sandy's garden, Todd's soapbox on guns. How balanced is that?
That was funny. I certainly didn't expect us to go down that path, but I'm glad we did because it's things that need to be said. It's things that need to be said.
Season 5.
So lots of fun stuff coming up this season. I already have some paranormal groups that we're going to be talking to that I want to get in touch with to see if we can talk to them. Maybe a cool author to some of our favorite people in the world may make more appearances with us this season that we haven't talked to in a while. And more of us just being
us.
stupid.
Melissa from Triple Moon Healing is somebody. I went to her healing circle. That's where I went. And so we definitely want to get Melissa on. I have one other thing to share. And this is really important. And again, I don't want to be on my soapbox about this, but
my vagina, my boobs.
It's all the stuff that's really important.
Chaos right now, so.
my vagina, my boobs.
My vagina, my boobs. Why do I even send you voice messages? Because
that wasn't a voice. That was not a voice message. That was a conversation we were having before.
But the other day I had to go through it with you too. I'm having a serious conversation with you, and you're like, "Bah ha 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 ha!" I just saved that for the pod. I'm like, Todd. Oh my God, my vagina, my boobs. I love it. I love it. Oh, and I've been watching the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial too. I just thought I'd throw that in there.
And Amber's now saying that it's not done because they're going to go for a mistrial because all those jurors got to go home and spend time with family who had access to all the clips and all this. And it's gonna come back.
It's just gonna. But again, I think, and I've made if you're my friend on Facebook, you know that I've made it clear that I do believe Johnny Depp. And the thing about it is I wasn't a huge Johnny Depp fan. So it's not like I've always loved Johnny Depp. I did watch 21 Jump Street, but I actually
I did too, actually. I remember that show.
I actually liked Peter DeLuise at the time. I thought he was adorable. But I did like Johnny Depp, but not a huge fan or anything.
I have to stop for a second. What? You are the only woman in America who chose Peter DeLuise over Johnny Depp on 21 Jump Street. The women would rather choose Holly Robinson Pete than Peter DeLuise.
I don't know. I just liked him. I thought he was adorable. But I thought Johnny Depp obviously was cute too. But I had never watched any of the Pirates of the Caribbean, although I love the ride at Disney World. But I have never watched any of those movies. I think I will now. But I will say this. I went into it pretty much with an open mind, and I came out of it really believing in him. And I think the important thing there is that we have to remember that if you feel like you're being put in a box in a way that you shouldn't be, you should stand up for yourself. And I think regardless of what happens now, it doesn't matter because he was vindicated. And I do really believe in him. And I do believe, let's face it, they're both really messed up people.
Well, they're poster children for mental health needs in America.
Exactly.
Period.
Exactly. And they both did a lot of things they should have never done. But I don't believe that he sexually did anything to her. And I don't believe he physically did anything.
I didn't watch enough of it to tell you. I stayed as far away as I could. Plus, you and Damon were just you two, like a bunch of schoolgirls.
Damon is like a girlfriend of mine. He's great with this stuff. So we've just been like back.
Good. I'll tell you what. He and I will switch spots. I'll deal with Sue. He can deal with you, and then I don't have to hear about vaginas and boobs because I'm pretty sure Sue doesn't talk about that stuff. Do you, Sue?
So anyways, all right. So lots of fun stuff coming up this season. And again, we want to do some paranormal stuff this season. Talk to some paranormal groups, get their take on things. It's always interesting to get a take, especially as paranormal investigators ourselves, to learn from other groups and other people and their perspectives and how they do things. So I think it'll be super interesting. Might have some psychics on, do some holistic stuff. It's going to be just a really fun season. So
and
I'm really looking forward
you don't have to do Sandy's spiel anymore because we got somebody to do it now, right?
No, you guys, season 5, episode 1, we have an amazing spiel that's been done for us. And so now I don't even have to do my spiel anymore. It's going to be inserted right here.
You can find the Sandy and Toddcast on any of the platforms that you normally find your podcasts, including YouTube and Twitter. Be sure to like the Sandy and Toddcast on Facebook to keep up on the latest goings-on, including each week's episode. You can also join our group, Stay Weirdos, friends of the Sandy and Toddcast, for more fun. Stay Weirdos is a safe place to share your thoughts, feelings, ideas, and random inappropriate memes without judgment. Sandy and Todd also have a podcast called the Empathicary Podcast. It's for empaths, by empaths. And if you know an empath, you might want to listen too. Find and like the page on Facebook. And finally, if you're thinking about starting your own podcast and just aren't sure where to start, Sandy and Todd can also help with that too. Mindgarden Media is their latest project where the dynamic duo can guide you every step of the way in your podcasting journey. Editing, producing, and consulting is what they do. Like Mindgarden Media on Facebook or email them at themindgardenmedia@gmail.com. And as always, thanks for staying weird.
Season 5. You know what? That's going to be my thing all season now.
You should.
I will.
You should. I love that. It's one of my favorite things that you do. Anyways.
The echo?
All right, guys.
I'll just always talk like that then.
No, don't talk like that.
So then Sandy said something about her vagina and her boobs.
It's going to drive me nuts. So anyways, it reminds me kind of like I took my mom to see Jersey Boys the other night. We had so much fun. It was wonderful. So I will be seeing you in a week and a half, but we'll have an episode next week just before I come out there.
Okay.
Dave's looking forward to it too. It's going to be so much fun. Let's hope for good weather, but
either way, we'll make it work. We'll make it work. And don't worry about your leg because, we'll have the car and Dave's prepared to carry it. So he's not carrying me. If anybody does, it's going to be you. All right. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.